Let's get right into it. Number 9. The terrifying sensation of silent death. Imagine floating peacefully in the vacuum of space, your spaceship's oxygen tanks slowly emptying. Now imagine that your last moments would be completely silent. In space, there's no air to carry sound waves, so every catastrophic event, an explosion, a hull breach, a catastrophic failure happens in total, eerie silence. You wouldn't hear the creaks and groans of your ship's metal as it gives way to pressure, or the hiss of air rushing out into the void. It's a silent ballet of destruction. Your brain, wired to interpret sounds as warnings, would be left completely disoriented. You'd see things happening, but the lack of an auditory cue would make the danger feel even more alien and incomprehensible. This unsettling quiet would amplify the sense of isolation, making the end even more terrifyingly personal. It's not just a loud bang, it's an invisible, soundless force pulling you apart. While movies love to fill space with the roars of explosions, the reality is a chilling void. The ultimate jump scare isn't a loud noise, it's the absolute absence of one. Number 8. The human body's disgusting space adaptations. When you leave Earth, your body starts to throw a massive tantrum. It's like your internal organs suddenly realize they're on a camping trip they didn't sign up for. Without gravity constantly pulling you down, your spine elongates, making you taller. Which sounds kind of cool, but it can also cause nerve pain. All the fluids that gravity normally keeps in your lower body rush to your head, making your face puffy and giving you what's known as puffy face, bird legs syndrome. Your sinuses clog up, making you feel like you have a perpetual head cold. Your brain, confused by the lack of up or down, gets space sickness. It's basically a full-body betrayal. Your heart starts shrinking because it doesn't have to work as hard to pump blood. Your bones lose density because they're not being used to support your weight. It's like your body looks around at the weightless environment and says, well, I guess we don't need all this anymore, and starts to deconstruct itself, piece by piece. Number 7. You can't smell the moon. You've probably seen astronauts bounding around on the moon, collecting rocks and planting flags. What you don't hear them talking about is the smell. When the Apollo astronauts returned to the lunar module after moonwalks, they'd bring in the fine lunar dust on their suits and equipment. This dust, which is technically called regolith, had a distinct and surprising odor. They described it as smelling like spent gunpowder, burnt charcoal, or the aftermath of an electrical fire. This isn't just a weird anecdote, it's a disturbing insight into the chemical makeup of an alien world. The dust, which is incredibly abrasive and clingy, is made of tiny, jagged particles of glass and rock created by micrometeorite impacts. It's a fine, powdery substance that sticks to everything and, if inhaled, could be a serious health risk. Imagine the irony. You travel hundreds of thousands of miles to an untouched celestial body, only to find that it smells like a rusty battlefield. It's a reminder that even the most romanticized parts of space exploration have a gritty, disturbing side. Number 6. Exploding from the inside out. This is the kind of stuff that gives me nightmares. When you're in the vacuum of space without a suit, you don't freeze or instantly burst open like a water balloon. No, the truth is far more gruesome. The first thing that happens is that the air in your lungs expands and ruptures the delicate tissue inside. Your saliva and the moisture on your skin would instantly boil, then freeze, a process called effervescence. Your blood would begin to boil too, not because of heat, but because the lack of pressure lowers the boiling point. This is the same principle that makes water boil at a lower temperature at high altitudes. Only in space, it happens to your own blood. Your body would swell to nearly twice its normal size, not because you're exploding, but because of all the gases and fluids rapidly expanding. You'd lose consciousness in about 15 seconds as the oxygen is sucked out of your bloodstream. You wouldn't be able to hold your breath to prevent this, because the sudden depressurization would force the air out of you violently. Basically, your body becomes a grotesque science experiment in real time, all because the simple rules of atmospheric pressure no longer apply. Number 5. The peril of space dementia. Imagine being trapped in a tiny tin can with the same 2 or 3 people for months or even years on end. Now imagine there's no way out. The psychological toll of long-duration spaceflight is so severe that it has its own unofficial name, space dementia. It's not just boredom. The isolation, the confinement, the constant threat of death, and the complete lack of external stimuli can lead to profound psychological distress. Astronauts report emotional swings, paranoia, hostility toward their crewmates, and hallucinations. Your brain, starved for new input, starts to invent its own reality. One astronaut on the Mir space station was so convinced of a fire he saw, he had to be talked down by mission control, even though all sensors showed no fire at all. It's like a hyper-accelerated form of cabin fever where the stakes are life and death. The psychological well-being of the crew is a major limiting factor for missions to Mars and beyond. It turns out the biggest threat to humanity's future in space isn't an asteroid or a black hole. It's just a bunch of people who are really, really tired of each other's faces. Number 4. The cosmic bullet hell eggs. You know how people worry about giant asteroids hitting Earth? That's not what space agencies worry about on a day-to-day basis. The real, constant, terrifying threat is something called micrometeoroids. Space is not an empty void. It's a cosmic shooting gallery filled with microscopic grains of sand, dust, and tiny flakes of paint from old satellites, all zipping around at speeds of up to 17,000 miles per hour. At that velocity, even a particle the size of a fleck of glitter packs the kinetic energy of a bowling ball thrown at you. These aren't just little pings on the hull, they're high-speed, invisible bullets. A tiny puncture in a spacesuit or a habitat module could mean a slow, agonizing depressurization. A single tiny projectile could nick a critical cable, cause a fire, or create a crack that spiders across a window. Astronauts have to constantly perform damage checks on the International Space Station, looking for the telltale signs of these tiny impacts. It's like living in a house that's constantly being pelted by microscopic artillery, and all you can do is hope the next one doesn't find a weak spot. It turns out that the biggest threat to humanity's future in space isn't an alien armada, but a relentless barrage of cosmic shrapnel. Number 3. The horror of human waste management. Let's talk about the least glamorous part of space travel, going to the bathroom. You might think that in a trillion-dollar spaceship, this would be a solved problem. You'd be wrong. In zero gravity, there's no down for anything to fall. That means every single human waste product, from urine to solid waste, has to be actively managed using a high-powered vacuum system. The space toilet is basically a very specific, very expensive vacuum cleaner with a tiny suction cup-like seat and a funnel for pee. It's not a relaxed experience. Astronauts have to strap themselves in and aim with surgical precision, all while the vacuum roars to prevent anything from floating off in the wrong direction. The consequences of a misfire are, well, let's just say it's a biohazard that can ruin everyone's day. And what happens to all that waste? On the ISS, urine is recycled into drinking water, which is a whole other level of disturbing. Solid waste is vacuum sealed into bags, which are then placed into cargo vessels that burn up in Earth's atmosphere. So next time you see a shooting star, remember, it might just be the fiery demise of some astronaut's poop. Number 2. The ultimate sense of helplessness. You've seen the movies. An astronaut on a spacewalk, their tether snaps, and they drift off into the blackness. The truth of that scenario is far more psychologically disturbing than Hollywood can ever capture. In space, there's no air to push against, no friction to slow you down. If your tether breaks and you aren't actively moving towards the station, you don't drift away, you just stop. You become a perfectly still object, moving at the same velocity as the station, but no longer connected to it. You would slowly, imperceptibly rotate. Your panicked attempts to move would be useless. You would look around and see a breathtaking view of Earth or the stars and realize you are the most alone you will ever be. You are a spinning, silent speck with no hope of rescue, no way to signal, and nothing to grab onto. Your finite oxygen supply is ticking down. This isn't a quick death. It's a slow, serene, and utterly terrifying isolation, punctuated by the quiet realization that you are an unrecoverable piece of space junk. Number 1. The invisible cosmic killer. On Earth, we're protected by a giant force field. Our planet's atmosphere and magnetic field shield us from the worst of space's dangers, namely cosmic radiation. But once you leave that bubble, Your body is exposed to a constant barrage of high-energy particles from the sun and distant exploding stars. These aren't like getting a sunburn. These are microscopic cannonballs ripping through your body at nearly the speed of light, tearing through your DNA. Astronauts on the International Space Station are still exposed to 10 times the radiation dose of a person on Earth, but a long-duration mission to Mars would expose them to vastly more. They are literally being bombarded every second of every day. Astronauts on Apollo missions reported seeing flashes of light in their eyes, even when they were closed. This was cosmic rays zipping through their retinas. This invisible assault doesn't just increase the risk of cancer, it can damage your central nervous system and cause neurological disorders. So, while you might think you're safe inside a metal shell, you're just a soft, fleshy target, being slowly and invisibly torn apart by the ghosts of dead stars. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.